Hi guys, this is Note 22. So today we're talking about matrix determinant. And the determinant is something that we can do with anything that is a square matrix. So a 2 by 2 or a 3 by 3, but you can't do it if it's not square. So the main reason I'm teaching this, and I try not to do this very often, but the main reason is that it comes up on the ACT. And sometimes we get a little scared about the words that are there. We don't have to be. So I want to pre-teach you as many words as I can so that when you see it, you don't freak out. So for any 2 by 2 matrix, the determinant is defined by, so the DET means determinant. We're finding the determinant of this matrix here. And we find the determinant by, or we show the determinant by just like straight lines like this. They look like absolute value, right? So they look like absolute value, but they're with a matrix inside. And so all we're going to do when we're looking at this is we're going to do A times D. Oops. We're going to do A times D. So you're going to cross this way. That's A times D. And then we're going to subtract whatever B times C is. Right? So the diagonal going the other direction. This is always true for the determinant. So we do A times D, and whatever that is, we subtract B times C. So the determinant is written as DET. Find that on our calculators as well, or with straight lines. So if I was going to write the determinant of B, I would do A times D, which is 5 times 4. So that would be 20. And then I would do minus B times C. So 3 times negative 1. 3 times negative 1 is negative 3. So the determinant of this is 20 minus 3, 17. That's really it. You just take the first numbers. You take A times D. Takes A times D here. And then you take B times C. And then whatever those two numbers are, you subtract them. That's really all there is to it when you have a 2 by 2. It gets much more complicated when you have a 3 by 3. And honestly, that's not something we would ever do by hand anymore. We have computers to do it. So we'll use our calculator to do the 3 by 3s. Go ahead and do this one on your own. So this is on you. Write that down for my people who aren't listening. And you guys are working on that one there. And then I'll slide over here to 3 by 3. So 3 by 3, there are 2 different methods to do it by hand. Both of them are super tedious, so we're not actually going to work through them. In real life, we just use our calculator. So we'll deal with this matrix here, matrix G. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And the calculator instructions are in the second video. So I found a good video that shows you how to do it like step by step with the calculator on the screen, so I won't bore you with that one, but you have the written instructions here as well. Go ahead and find the determinant of G, and you're going to write that right here. Right, so whatever it is, you're going to report that back from your calculator. Okay. For each of these, you'll see that we have a mild, a medium, a spicy, and a habanero. That's just so you can see like how the ACT shows it in a bunch of different ways. So the first one, like mild, super duper easy. You guys can jump into this one. Just to remember, it's always A times D minus B times C. So you can do that one there. For medium, it says the determinant of the matrix A, B, C, D equals A, D minus B, C. This is super common on the ACT. They are giving you a huge hint here. Right? So they want you to use the matrix. They're telling you what it is. So they're telling you what the determinant is in this case, right? They're even telling you the word determinant, and they're telling you what it equals. So then it says, the inverse of a matrix does not exist if its determinant is equal to 0. So they're giving us like new information here. They're telling us if the determinant is equal to 0, then apparently something doesn't exist. I'm not really sure what inverse means. Or we haven't learned that yet, but we don't have to worry about that because we're going to find out what the question is asking. So the question says, if the inverse of the matrix, and they tell us what matrix it is, does not exist, Remember that it doesn't exist right back up here. It doesn't exist if its determinant is equal to 0. Right? If the inverse does not exist, so that must mean that the determinant is equal to 0. What is the value of x? Well, we know that the determinant is AD minus BC from our hint, right? From our hint up there. So if I look at A times D, 2 times negative 8 would be negative 16 minus 4 times x. I can't do that, so I'm just going to write 4x. And we know that the determinant, whatever this is also equal to 0. So I'm going to write equal to 0 there. They tell me that it doesn't exist, so we know that that means the same as it equaling 0. From there, I can just solve this equation. Add 16, negative 4x equals 16. Divide by negative 4, x equals negative 4. So my correct answer is A in this case. Okay. That's my medium level. I just created an equation and used my hint. For spicy, it says, given the matrix here, so they tell me what the matrix is. Right, so I know that's information. It says, what is the value of y over x if the determinant of m is 0? So again, we see like this super important determinant is 0. So whatever is going to equal to 0, we remember that determinant is AD minus BC. So I'm going to do 12 times x, which would be AD, minus 16 times y, 16y equals 0. So in this problem, I mean, normally we would solve for x or solve for y, but they're asking us to actually find x and y together. So I want to be able to put my y's on one side and have the x's be divided on the bottom. So I'm going to move my 16y to the other side. So I have 12x equals 16y. From there, I want the numbers to be on one side and I want the letters to be on the other. So I'm going to divide by 16 on both sides so I can get y by itself, because I see here that y is by itself. So I have 12x over 16 equals, 16 divided by 16 is 1, just equals y. Now I want the x to be on the other side, and I know that these are being multiplied together. So in order to get rid of x, I need to divide by x on both sides. What I do on one side, have to do on the other. X divided by x is 1. So I get 12 over 16 is equal to y over x. By doing some moving around, right, and solving my equation sort of in a different way, I can see that I'm able to get to y over x. So I know y over x equals this. I'm looking at my answer choices. I'm not seeing it. I'm thinking like, oh, I must need to maybe simplify. I can do math enter in my calculator, or I can divide the top and the bottom by 4, and I get positive 3 over positive 4. Positive 3 over 4 is answer choice C. All right, so getting a little spicier, had to do some like funky algebra in here in order to solve this, but still the determinant, still AD minus BC. And then finally habanero. So again, check this out. Every time the ACT wants you to use this type of problem, they give you this hint. Right? So really big clue that they want you to use the determinant here. It says, if the determinant of this thing, they tell us like kind of a crazy matrix, if the determinant is 1, what are all the possible values of t? So they want us to figure out what t is. We know the determinant is AD minus BC. So I know I'm going to have to multiply these together, and I'm going to have to multiply these together. And it's going to be, whatever that is, AD minus BC is going to be equal to 1, because they tell me the determinant is 1. So equals 1. So I'll work with A and D first. So I have t plus 2 times t minus 2. Minus b times c, 4 times 5 is a little easier, minus 20 equals 1. From there, I know that I need to multiply, and I see that I have 2 things times 2 things. When I multiply those together, I'm going to use the box. So I go over here to the box. I have t plus 2, t minus 2, t squared, positive 2t negative 2t, negative 4. My t's are canceled here, so I just have t squared minus 4. And that's the difference of squares, so that makes sense to me. Minus 2, or to minus 20 equals 1. So I see t squared here, and that's the only variable in my problem, so I'm going to try to move everything else to the other side. So I'm going to add 4 on both sides. It's going to cancel here. I'm going to add 20 on both sides. That's going to cancel here as well. So I have t squared equals all of these together give me 25. And so then I know I can take the square root. I have t equals 5. Also, you might remember it's positive or negative 5, because negative 5 squared would also give me 25, as well as 5 squared would give me 25. So my answer choices are 5 and negative 5, which is going to be my answer choice B.